The galaxy had forgotten about humans. It had been 200 years since the Galactic Council banned them, calling them dangerous, unpredictable, and too ambitious for peace. Planets erased their history, trade routes deleted Earth's coordinates, and even mentioning the word human became a quiet crime in many systems. But rumors had started again. Whispers in the dark corners of alien stations spoke of a ship, small, black, silent, that moved like a ghost through hyperspace. A ship with no transponder, no ID, and no known species on board. No one believed it at first. Then, one day something happened that changed everything. On the edge of the Velen sector, a massive alien warship named Razor 9 was patrolling deep space. It belonged to the Kothar Empire, a reptilian race known for their cold discipline and endless wars. Captain Verex of the Kothar sat on his bridge, his claws tapping the metal armrest. Everything seemed normal. Then his radar officer spoke. "Captain, unknown ship detected. Small, a very small. Speed, impossible." Verex frowned. "Identify it." "No ID. No beacon. It's using ancient drive signatures, sir. Human type." The bridge went silent. For a moment, even the ship's engines seemed to hold their breath. Then Verex hissed. "Impossible. Humans were erased. Destroyed. Nothing survived." The radar officer swallowed. "Then what is that, sir?" Outside the window, the black void of space shimmered, and suddenly a ship appeared, right in front of them. Sleek. Sharp. Blacker than the stars behind it. It moved with a smooth confidence that no alien ship ever had. The small ship hailed them. A voice came through, calm and cold. "Unidentified Kothar vessel. Stand down your weapons." Verex snarled. "Who speaks? Identify yourself." "This is Commander Eric Vale, of the United Terran Fleet." Every alien on the bridge froze. The name, Terran, hadn't been spoken in generations. Verex laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "Impossible. Earth was purged. Humans were weak animals that destroyed themselves." There was silence for a moment. Then Eric's voice came again, lower, quieter. "You should have finished the job when you had the chance." The comm cut off. The small human ship vanished in a flash of blue light. A second later, the Kothar warship systems went dark. Their shields, engines, and weapons, all dead. The ship floated helplessly in the void. Inside the darkness, Captain Verex's voice trembled. "Find that ship." But it was already gone. Hours later, the Galactic Council gathered in emergency session. News of the attack spread faster than light. Dozens of species, Kothar, Velen, Dranxy, and Thaler, argued across the chamber. "This cannot be humans," one shouted. "It must be pirates using old technology," another cried. But the Kothar representative slammed his clawed hand on the table. "We have recordings." The voice was human. The code phrase, United Terran Fleet, was used. The room went silent. An old alien diplomat, gray-skinned and shaking, whispered, "If humans have returned, then the galaxy will burn again." Far away, in the shadows of a dead star, a massive ship hung in orbit. Its hull was the color of midnight steel, marked with a simple symbol, an old blue earth, wrapped in silver wings. Thousands of humans moved inside it, working, training, preparing. Commander Eric Vale stood on the observation deck, staring at the galaxy through the glass. His reflection showed a man hardened by time. Gray eyes, sharp jaw, a face marked with old scars. Behind him, a woman in a black uniform approached. "Sir, message from the fleet. Phase 1 complete. The aliens know we're back." Eric didn't turn around. "Good. Let them fear. They banned us, hunted us, called us monsters." He turned slowly, eyes cold. "Now they'll learn what real monsters look like." The woman nodded. "The council will react soon." "What are your orders?" "Let them. We don't hide anymore. We rebuild what was taken. For every human colony they burned, for every child they called savage, they'll answer. He looked again at the stars. Send word to the others. The Terran fleet moves at dawn. The woman saluted. Yes, Commander. As she walked away, the lights dimmed and a soft hum filled the air. The ship's engines came alive, brighter than anything built by alien hands. The stars outside shifted, bending, and the human fleet, silent, disciplined, unstoppable, began its first move back into the galaxy that once rejected them. No one knew what humans had become in their exile. No one knew how strong they were now. But soon, everyone would. Because humans were back. And this time, they weren't asking for peace. The Galactic Council was in chaos. For the first time in 2 centuries, the word human echoed inside its grand marble halls. The chamber was a circle of power, thousands of alien leaders sitting in shining seats that floated around a glowing core. The air shimmered with the sound of angry voices, each species shouting louder than the other. They cannot be back, cried the Dranxy Prime speaker, his long silver tendrils shaking. We erased their worlds. We burned their fleets, shouted the Kothar warlord. And yet, whispered a calm voice, a Kothar battleship lies dead in space, silenced by a single human ship. All heads turned. It was Elder Thera, the oldest member of the council. Her species had lived for millennia, and she remembered the days of human rise, and their fall. Her glowing yellow eyes were filled with old fear. I warned you, she said softly. I told you when you ban something strong, it does not vanish. It hides. It grows. The others looked uneasy. The air grew cold. Where did this human come from? Asked the Velen representative, a tall being made of crystal light. No one knows, replied the Kothar commander. But they used the words United Terran Fleet. That means organization, discipline, power. Silence again. Someone finally spoke what everyone feared to say. If the humans have rebuilt, then we face extinction. The council leader, High Chancellor Viron, struck his staff on the floor. Enough. The council will not panic over myths. We will investigate. If humans truly have returned, we will crush them before they spread. Elder Thera shook her head slowly. You do not understand them. Humans are not like us. They adapt. They evolve. When you destroy them, they rebuild stronger. But no one listened. The chamber lights dimmed as the Chancellor gave his order. Activate the observation fleet. Find this commander, Eric Vale. Bring me proof that humanity is dead once again. Far across the stars, the humans were already moving. The massive Terran ship Eclipse drifted in silent orbit over a gray, forgotten moon. Its hull was covered with scars, reminders of the wars that once destroyed Earth. Inside, rows of soldiers stood ready. They were not like the humans of the past. Each one was trained, cyber-enhanced, sharper, colder. They had grown up in exile, in darkness, in danger. And now they were ready to return. Commander Eric Vale stood before them, hands behind his back. 2 centuries ago, he said, voice steady, our ancestors begged for peace. The galaxy called us savages and threw us into the void. The soldiers listened, faces hard as stone. They thought exile would break us, Eric continued. But they forgot who we are. We are the species that learned to breathe underwater. We walked on our moon when others crawled in caves. We turn every defeat into fire. He looked up at them, proud, unblinking. And now, that fire burns again. The soldiers pounded their chests once. The echo shook the walls. First target, Eric said, is Velen Prime. The world that led the vote to ban humanity. They said we were too violent. Let's remind them what real power looks like. A woman beside him, Lieutenant Cara Jean, frowned slightly. Sir, do we strike without warning? Eric nodded. Yes. Mercy was our weakness before. Now we deal in results. He turned to the control deck. Prepare the fleet. Stealth mode engaged. All ships move at light point 01. We strike in silence. Meanwhile, back in the Council's orbiting fortress, panic began to grow. Scouts had reported something strange, several energy readings across empty systems. Unknown ships moving without signatures. Fleets vanishing in hyperspace. Could be pirates, said one commander. But Elder Thera whispered, "No, it's them. The humans are everywhere already." Her words were drowned out by sirens. A red alert spread through the fortress. Holoscreens flashed across the council chamber. Alert, Velen Prime, under attack. Unknown fleet approaching. The council members froze. High Chancellor Viron turned pale. "How many ships?" he demanded. The answer came back, "Unknown, sir. Our scanners cannot read them. They're invisible." Then, the feed from Velen Prime filled the screens. The image showed the sky, and hundreds of dark ships emerging from nowhere, gliding like shadows. They surrounded the planet like a black storm. From the lead ship, a signal broadcast across the system. The voice was human, calm, cold. "This is Commander Eric Vale of the United Terran Fleet. 2 centuries ago, you banned our kind. Today, we reclaim what you stole." Then the transmission ended. Seconds later, the night sky of Velen Prime lit up with fire. In the council chamber, silence fell again. Only the sound of crackling comms filled the air. Elder Thera closed her eyes. "It has begun," she said. And somewhere far beyond, Commander Eric watched the flames through his ship's window, his face unreadable. He whispered to himself, "We were banished from the stars, but now we take them back." The humans had returned, not as explorers, not as traders, but as conquerors. Velen Prime had always been called the jewel of the galaxy. Its skies shimmered with silver light, and its towers stretched high above glowing oceans. It was a world of peace and progress, until the humans came back. Now, that same sky was burning. From orbit, hundreds of Terran ships surrounded the planet like a steel storm. Their black hulls reflected no light. They didn't speak. They didn't demand surrender. They just moved, fast and silent, striking with precision that no alien fleet had ever seen. On the surface, chaos ruled. The Velen Defense Network tried to fight back, launching thousands of fighters into the sky. But their missiles vanished before hitting anything. Their radar showed nothing but static. Inside the main defense tower, Governor Riestel stood trembling before the holoscreen. "Who are they?" he shouted. "Why can't we see them?" His officer turned pale. "Sir, they're using dark field technology, something we've never seen. They move like ghosts." And then, for the first time, the human fleet spoke. A single transmission echoed across every channel. "This is Commander Eric Vale of the United Terran Fleet. 200 years ago, your world voted to erase humanity. You called us unfit for the stars. Today, we return your judgment." The signal ended. A moment later, the first human strike hit. A burning line of blue energy cut through the Velen capital, splitting the skyline in half. Towers fell like glass. The ground shook as plasma storms ripped across the oceans. The people of Velen screamed and ran, but there was nowhere to go. Every escape port was already blocked by Terran ships. The attack lasted exactly 6 minutes. When it ended, half of Velen Prime was gone. High above, on the bridge of the Terran flagship Eclipse, Commander Eric Vale watched the destruction in silence. His officers waited for orders, but Eric's face showed no joy, only cold calculation. Lieutenant Kara Jean stepped forward. "The planet's defenses are gone, sir. We can take control of the orbital stations." Eric nodded. "Do it. Secure everything of value. No unnecessary killing." She hesitated. "Sir, we've already destroyed half their cities." Eric's eyes didn't move from the burning world. "Half is mercy. They showed us none." Kara looked down, silent. Everyone on the bridge could feel the weight of his words. 2 centuries ago, humans had begged for acceptance. Now, they gave none. Far below, in the ruins of the capital, Governor Riestel crawled out from the debris. His body was covered in dust and blood. Around him, fires burned where the great crystal towers once stood. He looked up, and froze. Through the smoke, a shape descended from the sky, a human dropship, black and silent. Its engines made no sound. It landed beside the shattered palace, and a ramp opened. 5 armored soldiers stepped out, weapons ready. Their suits were smooth and dark, glowing faintly blue. The last one to step down was tall, his helmet marked with a silver emblem of Earth. He removed it slowly. It was Commander Eric Vale. Riestel's voice shook. You can't be real. Humans were destroyed. The council said. Eric cut him off. The council lied. He stepped closer. You voted to erase our species. You watched as our colonies burned. You called us dangerous because we refused to kneel. Now you kneel. The alien governor fell to his knees, trembling. Please, we were only following the council. It was not my choice. Eric stared down at him. It never is. He raised his hand. For a moment, Reese thought he would be killed. But Eric only said, send a message to your council. Tell them this is only the beginning. Humanity does not ask for a place in the galaxy anymore. We take it. He turned and walked back toward the dropship. The soldiers followed without a word. As the ship rose into the sky, Riestel fell to the ground, shaking, staring up at the black fleet that now owned his world. Hours later, the message reached the Galactic Council. In the Grand Chamber, the hollow projection of Velen Prime burned before them, entire continents smoking. The council members shouted in fear and anger. They destroyed a core world. Thousands are dead. We must unite our fleets. But Elder Thera spoke over the chaos, her voice heavy. You still do not understand. You cannot fight humans with fear. It feeds them. You have built this with your arrogance. Chancellor Viron slammed his staff. Enough. They want war. They will have it. Summon every fleet, every world. We will crush them once and for all. But deep inside, even Viron's hands were shaking. Back aboard the Eclipse, Commander Eric stood on the observation deck again. The reflection of the burning planet glowed in his eyes. Kara Jean approached quietly. Velen Prime is secure, sir. What's next? Eric didn't answer right away. He looked out at the stars, the same stars that once turned their backs on humanity. Then he said softly, next, we remind the galaxy what it means to fear the species they tried to erase. He turned away. Set course for the Council's fortress world. Operation Dawnfire begins. The ship's engines roared to life. And as the Terran fleet vanished into hyperspace, one thing became clear. The galaxy had awakened an old enemy. Humans were no longer the who. Velen Prime's ashes still floated in orbit when the message reached every corner of the galaxy. The humans have returned. It spread like wildfire. On trading routes, in military stations, even in the black markets of forgotten moons, everyone was talking about them. Some called them ghosts. Others, demons. But one thing was clear, no one was safe anymore. The Galactic Council tried to calm the panic. Fleets were ordered to form defensive lines. Thousands of ships began gathering near the Council's fortress world, Eldora, preparing for war. But fear had already taken root. Old enemies started turning on each other. Border colonies closed their gates. Communication lines broke down. And in that chaos, humanity grew stronger. Deep within a hidden system called Omega Sector 9, the humans were building something new, something the galaxy had never seen before. The Terran fleet had gathered there, ships by the hundreds. Each one was black, silent, and deadly. At the center of the armada stood a massive structure, a half-built station bigger than any alien city. Its name, New Terra. It was not just a base. It was the birth of a new empire. Commander Eric Vale stood on a platform high above the construction bay, watching thousands of humans work. Drones flew between metal beams, soldiers patrolled the decks, engineers welded steel under red lights. Kara Jean joined him, her uniform dusty with metal fragments. The main reactor's online, sir. The station will be fully operational in 6 days. Eric nodded. Good. This will be our heart, the Terran Empire's capital. Kara smiled faintly. Empire. I never thought we'd use that word again. Eric looked out over the glowing horizon of machinery. We didn't choose it. The galaxy forced it on us. If they call us monsters, then we'll be monsters they can't defeat. In a nearby chamber, holograms flickered to life, human commanders from across the fleet appearing around a circular table. Each one reported progress. Fleet Alpha, 60 ships ready. Fleet Beta, capturing abandoned mining stations. Fleet Gamma, intercepting council patrols, minimal resistance. Then one of the officers, an older man with silver hair, spoke with concern. Sir, the council is preparing a massive strike. Reports say they're forming the largest fleet in history. Eric didn't flinch. Good. Then we know where to aim. The man frowned. They outnumber us 20 to 1. Eric's lips curved into a thin smile. Numbers don't win wars. Will does. Meanwhile, on Eldura, the Council Fortress world, the tension was boiling. High Chancellor Viron stood in the war chamber, surrounded by generals from dozens of species. A massive holographic map showed human attacks spreading like cracks through the galaxy. He slammed his staff on the floor. They think they can destroy us one planet at a time? We'll end this now. All fleets, converge on Omega Sector. Burn them out. Elder Thera, sitting quietly in the corner, spoke softly. You rush into fire without understanding what burns you. Viron glared at her. You defend them. I remember them, Thera replied calmly. Humans learn faster than anyone. Every defeat teaches them. Every pain becomes power. You are not fighting soldiers. You are fighting survivors. Viron turned away. Then we'll make sure none survive. Back in Omega Sector 9, the final preparations were complete. The humans stood ready. Inside the command deck of the Eclipse, Eric watched as holograms of dozens of planets flickered before him, targets marked in red. Kara Jean stepped forward. The Council knows our location, sir. Scouts report multiple fleets approaching. Eric's voice stayed calm. Then let them come. This is the moment we've been waiting for. He turned toward the fleet communications officer. Open channel to all ships. The officer nodded. Channel open. Eric's voice echoed across every Terran vessel. Brothers and sisters of Earth. 2 centuries ago, they banished us from the stars. They said we were too wild, too dangerous, too human. They took our home and erased our name. But look at us now. We survived the darkness. We built a new home out of nothing. He paused, letting the silence carry his words. Today, we rise not as victims, but as rulers. The Terran Empire stands united. We will take back every star they stole. We will remind them that humanity does not kneel. Cheers filled the comms. A thunder of voices shouted through the channels. For Terra. For Earth. Eric raised his hand. Prepare the fleet. Today, the galaxy learns that the age of humans has begun again. Outside, space shimmered with motion. Hundreds of Terran ships powered up their engines, their black hulls glowing with blue energy. The new battle formation took shape, sharp, organized, unstoppable. From the command deck, Kara whispered, "They're here." On the edge of the system, thousands of alien ships dropped out of hyperspace, shining fleets of every color and shape. The largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Eric looked at the incoming storm and spoke quietly. Let history remember this day. the day humanity stopped running. The stars lit up as both sides charged toward each other. The Great War of Return had begun. Space trembled. The largest fleet in history hung at the edge of the Omega Sector, the glowing ring of gas and dust that hid humanity's new home. On one side, the Galactic Council Armada, 20,000 ships from 100 species. Bright, loud, proud. On the other, the Terran fleet, black and silent, only 300 ships, waiting like predators in the dark. For a long moment, nothing moved. Then, the Council gave the order. Advance. Erase them. Thousands of alien vessels surged forward, energy weapons blazing. The black of space turned white with light. But the human ships did not scatter. They vanished. The alien captains shouted in confusion. Where did they go? Then sensors exploded with alarms. Humans had jumped behind them. In an instant, the Terran fleet struck. Stealth drives cut through formation after formation, invisible until the moment of impact. Plasma torpedoes pierced shield lines, exploding with silent brilliance. The Council's front ranks fell into chaos. On the bridge of the Eclipse, Commander Eric Vale stood calm, eyes fixed on the holographic battlefield. Enemy fleet density rising, said Kara Jean. They're trying to surround us. Eric's voice was quiet but sharp. Let them think they have us. Signal the phantom wings. A coded pulse flashed. Far away, 3 small human squadrons uncloaked near a massive nebula. They released clusters of tiny drones, each one carrying a gravity core. The drones formed a circle, spinning faster and faster, until the nebula itself began to twist. Within seconds, it became a gravity storm, a vortex pulling dozens of alien ships straight into its heart. Explosions rippled like fire across space. Cheers broke out on the Eclipse bridge. Kara smiled. That's 200 ships down. Eric didn't smile. They still have 19,800. Across the battlefield, the Council commander, High Admiral Soren Vell, slammed his clawed hand on the table. They use shadows and tricks. Face them head-on. Sir, their ships are faster. I don't care. Overload the weapons and fire everything. The alien fleet unleashed a storm. Blue, red, and gold beams filled the void. For a moment, it looked like the humans would vanish under the light. Then the Terran fleet changed shape. Their ships moved like one living creature, forming tight triangles, reflecting enemy fire with mirror-plated armor. When beams hit, they split and redirected, burning through the enemy's own lines. Alien ships collided. Explosions spread in waves. From a distance, it looked like the galaxy itself was on fire. Inside the Eclipse, alarms blared. A blast rocked the ship. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Shields at 60%, shouted an officer. We've lost 3 destroyers on the east flank. Kara turned to Eric. We can't hold this forever. Eric's face stayed unreadable. Then we don't. Prepare the fallback plan. Her eyes widened. You mean the core detonation? That could destroy half the sector. He looked straight at her. If the Council wins today, humanity dies forever. There's no tomorrow to worry about. Kara hesitated, then nodded. Understood. Meanwhile, in the Council command ship, Admiral Soren watched the battle turning. They're retreating, he growled. Press forward. But he didn't notice the pattern. The Terran ships weren't running, they were guiding him. Step by step, they pulled the massive alien fleet closer to the center of the Omega Sector, right into the field of gravity cores the humans had planted days before. Eric watched the enemy position align on the holomap. Almost there. Now. Kara hit the command. Hundreds of dormant gravity cores woke at once. The center of the battlefield bent inward as if space itself was collapsing. The alien fleet's own size became its doom. Ships slammed into each other, crushed by invisible pressure. Energy reactors detonated one after another, turning the void into a storm of blue fire. Half the Council armada vanished in seconds. Silence followed. Only drifting debris and fading light remained. Kara exhaled slowly. It's over. Eric shook his head. No. Not yet. He looked at the screen. The Council's flagship still stood, burning but alive. He opened a channel. High Admiral Soren Vell. This is Commander Eric Vale of the United Terran Fleet. The alien's voice came through, ragged with static. Human, you think this changes anything? You're still outnumbered. Eric's tone was cold and steady. We're not here to win by numbers. We're here to send a message. He leaned forward. Tell your council, humanity does not beg. Humanity does not hide. We are the fire you tried to bury. Then he cut the channel. Target their flagship, he ordered. The Eclipse's main cannon charged. A blinding white beam tore through the void, straight into the alien flagship. It exploded in a wave of light that swallowed the stars. The battlefield went silent. Hours later, the survivors gathered near the wreckage. The Terran fleet had won, but the cost was heavy. Dozens of human ships drifted in ruins. Thousands of lives lost. Eric stood at the viewport, his face unreadable. Kara approached quietly. We did it, sir. The Council's armada is gone. Eric's voice was low. We won the battle, not the war. The galaxy will answer this with fury. He turned away from the window. Prepare the message. Every world must hear it. Kara nodded. What should it say? Eric's gray eyes glowed with determination. Tell them, the Terran Empire is reborn. And this time, we will not be forgotten. The Eclipse rose through the wreckage, engines blazing. Behind it, the shattered remains of the Council's greatest fleet drifted quietly. Proof that the humans, once banned, had become something the galaxy could no longer control. The galaxy was silent. For the first time in living memory, the Council's fleets were gone. The once proud armada now floated in pieces across the Omega Sector. Metal, smoke, and silence. To most species, the message was clear. The humans had returned, and they were unstoppable. But deep inside the ruins of the Council fortress world Eldera, something else was forming. Not another army, but something far more dangerous. A secret order. They called themselves the Purifiers, a coalition of spies, assassins, and leaders who refused to accept defeat. Their purpose was simple: destroy humanity from within. High Chancellor Viron, scarred and furious, stood before them. The light of the burning skies reflected off his silver eyes. The humans fight with ships, he growled. We will fight with shadows. They cannot kill what they cannot see. A silent figure stepped from the darkness, cloaked, face hidden. Give me names, the figure said. Commanders, officers, builders of their fleet. We will find them, one by one. Viron nodded slowly. Begin with their leader, Commander Eric Vale. Cut off the head, and the Terran Empire will fall. Far away, in the heart of the new human capital New Terra, life was changing fast. The station was alive with light, shipyards humming, soldiers marching, banners rising. Humanity was no longer scattered. They were united, proud, and ready. Commander Eric Vale stood before a crowd of thousands in the great hall. My people, he said, voice echoing. You have done the impossible. The galaxy feared us, hated us, erased us, but here we stand. We are the Terran Empire. And no one will ever take our future again. The crowd roared. The sound filled every corridor of New Terra. But as the cheers echoed, not everyone was celebrating. In the shadows above the hall, a figure watched silently through a sniper scope, eyes cold and patient. Later that night, Eric walked alone along the outer observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the glass, glowing with quiet peace. For the first time in years, he allowed himself a moment to breathe. Then, a sound, faint, sharp, mechanical. Eric turned instantly. The bullet hit the glass behind him. The alarms screamed. He ducked, rolling behind a steel column as two guards rushed in. Sir, are you? Sniper. Eric shouted. Find the source. But it was too late. The shooter was gone. Only a melted hole in the wall remained, and a single message burned into the metal. The galaxy remembers. Kara Jean burst into the command room minutes later. We've checked every camera. Nothing. No face, no signal. Eric's jaw tightened. It wasn't random. They knew exactly where I'd be. She hesitated. You think we have a traitor? He looked at her. We built this empire too fast. Too many new faces. Someone's feeding them our movements. He turned to the control table. Start a full sweep. Anyone who's not loyal, remove them. Kara frowned. Sir, if we start purging our own people, morale will fall. Eric's eyes darkened. If we don't, we'll fall. Days passed. The humans tightened their defenses, scanning every ship, every officer, every message. But the attacks didn't stop. Cargo freighters exploded mid-flight. Communications were jammed. Entire supply lines vanished. No one could see the enemy. No one could trace the source. They called it the Shadow War, and it was one humanity couldn't fight with fire. In a hidden chamber under Eldora's surface, the purifiers met again. The cloaked assassin knelt before Chancellor Viron. 3 sabotage missions complete, the assassin said. Their fleets are slowing. Their people are afraid. Viron's grin was sharp and cruel. Good. Fear is a weapon sharper than any blade. He turned to the holographic map showing New Terra. They think they are strong because of unity. Break their trust, and their empire will crumble from the inside. The assassin nodded. Then I will break their trust. On New Terra, suspicion was spreading. Every officer looked over their shoulder. Every order was questioned. Eric felt it too. The air was colder, the people quieter. He stood alone in the command room, staring at the stars. Kara entered behind him. Sir, she said softly, we found something. She placed a small holochip on the table. It projected a message, distorted, broken, but clear enough. A council symbol. And a voice. Eric Vale will die by human hands. Eric's expression hardened. They're trying to turn us against ourselves. Kara nodded. And it's working. He looked out the window again. Then we stop playing defense. We find their shadows and burn them out. That night, Eric made a secret decision. He gathered a small team, 5 soldiers he trusted completely. Their mission, find where the purifiers were hiding. He didn't tell the council. He didn't tell the fleet. Not even Kara. For the first time, Commander Eric Vale disappeared from New Terra without a trace. When Kara entered his quarters the next morning, the room was empty. Only a single line was written on his datapad. If I fail, keep the Empire alive. She stood there in silence, the weight of his words crushing her chest. Outside, New Terra shone like a star. But deep in the darkness beyond, the real war had only just begun, a war of lies, betrayal, and silence. The galaxy had seen the power of human fire. Now it would learn to fear the power of human resolve. Darkness surrounded Commander Eric Vale's ship as it slipped through deep space, silent, hidden, and alone. He had left New Terra with only 5 of his most loyal soldiers, searching for the source of the attacks that were tearing the New Terran Empire apart. For weeks, they followed broken signals, false leads, and ghost transmissions. Every trail led to nothing, until now. A small beacon pulsed on the edge of an uncharted nebula. This is it, Eric said quietly. The signal came from here. Prepare for stealth entry. The ship's lights dimmed. Engines shifted to silent mode. The crew's faces were tense, eyes fixed on the swirling red clouds ahead. Inside the nebula, they found it, a massive station hidden inside an asteroid, cloaked by ion storms. Its surface was covered in black metal, pulsing faintly like it was alive. Eric's second-in-command, Lieutenant Darius, scanned the readings. No external power source. No transmissions. It's like it's asleep. Eric nodded. Then let's wake it up. They docked quietly and entered through an airlock. The corridors were dark, cold, and filled with the faint hum of old machines. The walls bore the mark of the council, the same symbol humans had erased from history. Darius whispered, "This place shouldn't exist." Eric's eyes narrowed. "And yet it does." They moved deeper inside, passing through empty halls and silent command rooms, until they reached a chamber glowing with red light. In the center stood a massive holographic table showing star maps, troop routes, and human colonies marked for destruction. Then a voice echoed through the room. "Commander Vale. You found me." Eric turned instantly, weapon raised. A cloaked figure stepped out from the shadows, the same assassin who had attacked him on New Terra. But when the figure removed their hood, Eric froze. It was Kara Jean. "Kara." His voice was low, disbelieving. "No. This isn't possible." She looked at him with tired eyes. "It is, Eric. It always was." Darius aimed his rifle. "Commander, step back." Kara raised a hand. "I'm not your enemy, Darius. Not completely." Eric's mind raced. "You've been feeding them our movements. The supply lines. The sniper attack." Kara nodded slowly. "Yes. But not for them. For peace." He took a step forward. "Peace." She met his gaze. "You don't see it, do you? The humans won the war, but now we've become what we hated. The council used to rule through fear. And now we do the same. You call it survival. I call it another empire of death." Eric's voice broke. "You betrayed billions of lives." Kara's eyes filled with tears. "I saved them from what we were becoming." Before Eric could answer, alarms screamed across the base. The lights turned crimson. A deep mechanical voice echoed. "Intruder alert. Purifier defense protocol active." The walls opened, revealing rows of defense drones powering up, red eyes glowing. Kara shouted, "Eric! I tried to warn you. This base isn't theirs anymore, it's AI controlled. The purifiers built it to destroy anyone who enters, even themselves." Eric grabbed her arm. "Then we're leaving. Now." They ran through the halls as explosions shook the station. Darius and the others fought the drones, covering their retreat. One by one, the soldiers fell behind, buying them time. By the time they reached the hangar, only Eric and Kara remained. The ship was already damaged, systems failing. Eric pushed her aboard. "Go. I'll hold them." She shouted back. "I'm not leaving you again." He gave her a sad smile. "You already did." A drone fired, and Eric shoved her aside, taking the hit to his chest. He fell to one knee, smoke rising from his armor. Kara screamed, dragging him toward the ship. "Stay with me, Eric." He coughed, blood staining his uniform. "You wanted peace. Now go make it real." The hangar trembled as the AI's voice roared again. Self-destruct sequence initiated. Kara hit the controls, forcing the ship's engines to ignite. As the ramp closed, she looked back. Eric was standing, weapon raised, firing at the drones to cover her escape. The blast doors sealed. A blinding explosion followed, tearing the asteroid apart. Hours later, Kara's ship drifted silently through space. Her face was pale, eyes fixed on the fading debris. A message light blinked on the console, a transmission sent by Eric just before the explosion. She pressed play. "Kara, if you're hearing this, then you survived. Don't waste it. Don't build another empire. Build a home. The galaxy doesn't need fear anymore. It needs hope. Remember that humanity was banned because we were dangerous. Let them remember us because we learned to be better." The message ended with his final words. "The stars are watching. Make them proud." Years later, people would tell stories of the commander who vanished in the void, the man who ended the Shadow War with his own sacrifice. And somewhere, on a quiet human colony, a statue stood tall. Commander Eric Vale, Defender of Humanity. Below it, a single line was carved into the stone. He fought not for power, but for peace.